Ty, we'll speak with an expert on fluoride at the
Yeah.
conference here as well. Just talk about water in general and how important is nourishing with good water, and
Hmm.
then how hard is that to find?
Yeah, well, we already talked about the chemicals that are in the water, the
Mm-hmm.
fluoride, the arsenic, the lead in the water. Thank God, we live in a place where we have well water, so we're
Mm-hmm.
not getting the fluoride and the arsenic and the lead and chlorine and the other contaminants that are in the water. There was a doctor, Batman, Dr. Batman Belk, I think is his name, from Saudi Arabia, Iran somewhere. It was Iran. Yeah, it was Iran. And he was the one that wrote the book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water. I think it's what the
Mm-hmm.
title of it was. And while he went to prison in
Mm-hmm.
the early 80s in Iran. And while he was in prison, I think it was in excess of 300 patients that he treated for different ailments and diseases with water. And he said, the problem is you're not sick, it's that you're thirsty. And his thesis was that everyone was chronically dehydrated. And as a result of chronic dehydration, your body's 70+% water.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have the water in your body, you can't function properly. You hydrate, and you can take care of the problems. And he was not using good water either, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He was using contaminated water that they had in the prison, and he was curing folks of their ailments using contaminated water. Now, not to say you go drink contaminated water, that's all
Yeah.
he had, but
Mm-hmm.
it hydrated their bodies. So good hydration is essential with good health. Now, when we're talking about the kind of water you should drink, if you can stay away from bottled water, I would. Um, Good natural fresh spring water is great, but I mean, who has a natural fresh
Yeah.
spring? So you need some kind of a filter typically.
Mm-hmm.
I love the big Berkeys, the Berkey Light, the sports Berkeys, the travel Berkeys that you can, all the Berkey brands are excellent water filters. And so what you can do is you can bring it with you in any water fountain. You can fill it up and it'll filter out the additives to the water. And so that's what my family typically brings with us when we're on a trip is we'll bring
Mm-hmm.
the little travel Berkeys that have the little filter in it. I used to recommend spring water and bottled water, but I just can't anymore because the more I research, the more I see that these phytoestrogens are not the phytoestrogens. That's plant estrogen. The xenoestrogens, the fake estrogens that are in the chemicals that are in the
Mm-hmm.
plastics, are leaching into the waters. And what they're doing is they're creating an estrogen effect in your body, which is then causing estrogen dominant cancers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not about males have testosterone and females
Right.
have estrogen. We all have estrogen and testosterone. It's the ratio that we have. And so when your ratio of testosterone to estrogen gets out of whack, and if for a male, when your testosterone begins to decrease or your estrogen increases, the ratio's not in balance.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you can be diagnosed with these estrogen type cancers. And the same with females. When they're overloaded with estrogen, then they have the breast cancers and the uterine cancers and the cervical cancers. So the plastics that are in the bottled water, as well as the pesticides on the foods,
Mm-hmm.
the pesticides have an estrogenic effect on us as well. So we're getting hit with all these fake estrogens from everywhere, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
reason to avoid soy. The phytoestrogens in soy, the genistein and the diazidyne,
Mm-hmm.
are both phytoestrogens, and they've been linked with estrogen type cancers. Plus, they're genetically modified now.
Mm-hmm.
94% last year, 2011, of the soybeans in the USA are GMO now, and I think it's 89% of corn.